At first, take a moment, sit back, and look at the clothes you are wearing, the device in your hand, or even think back to the coffee you drank this morning. Have you ever truly stopped to think about the incredible journey those items took? Have you considered how many national borders, time zones, and many different languages those products had to navigate just to reach you today? Well, behind every single object in our lives is a story of a global crossing. We live in a fascinating era where the economy seemingly has no borders. And yet, here is the mystery of our field. The moment you cross a physical line on a map, the entire rule book of business changes. A very warm good morning to each and every one of you. I'm Poorva Tripathi, and today we are not just looking at a textbook chapter. We are looking at the invisible engine of the modern world, and that's the international business environment. Let's start by defining what we mean by international business. It refers to all business activities that take place across national boundaries. This includes import and export of goods and services, as well as foreign investments made by companies in other countries. For example, when an Indian company exports textiles to the USA, or when a company like Apple manufactures products in China and sells them worldwide, it is part of international business. In today's globalized world, businesses are no longer limited to their home country. They expand internationally to explore new markets, gain access to better resources, and increase their profits. However, it is a double edged sword. While you gain access, you also face intense competition and vastly different business environments. Therefore, for any firm that wants to operate successfully on a global level, understanding these dynamics is a strategic necessity. So, what exactly is the International Business Environment, or IBE? International business environment refers to all the external factors that influence the operations of business across different countries. These factors are beyond the control of companies but still have a strong impact on their decisions and performance. The international business environment includes political, legal, cultural, and economic factors, and these differ from country to country. For example, a business strategy that works in India may not work in Japan or the USA due to differences in culture or laws. Therefore, companies must carefully study the environment before entering a foreign market. Understanding this environment helps businesses reduce risks and make better decisions. Now, let's move forward to our first pillar, the political environment. The political environment refers to the political conditions and government system of a country that influence business activities. It includes factors like government stability, policies, and attitude towards foreign investment. A stable government creates a safe and predictable environment for businesses, while political instability can create uncertainty and risk. For example, countries like the USA or Germany are politically stable, so many international companies invest there. On the other hand, countries facing political conflicts may discourage foreign investors. Another example is government policies. If a government supports foreign investment by giving tax benefits, companies are more likely to enter that market. So, the political environment plays a very important role in shaping international business decisions. To understand the role of the political system further, we have to see how it acts as a controller. The political system plays a key role in international business. It determines policies related to trade and foreign investment. Governments decide whether to allow foreign companies or restrict them. It also affects stability and risk levels. A stable political system encourages long term investment, while instability creates fear among investors. Governments also impose taxes, provide subsidies, and set trade restrictions like tariff and quotas. For example, if a country increases import duties, foreign companies may find it difficult to sell their products there. So, overall, the political system directly affects business operations and profitability. Let's move on to the legal environment. The legal environment refers to the laws and regulations that control business activities in a country. These include laws related to contracts, labor, taxation, and intellectual property rights. Since each country has its own legal system, businesses must follow different rules in different countries. For example, in Europe, there are strict data protection laws like GDPR, which companies must follow while handling customer data. Another example is labor laws. Some countries have strict rules regarding employee safety and working hours, which companies must follow. Every country has its own unique legal system, and for an international firm, understanding these differences is a non negotiable requirement. If a company fails to comply, they face heavy penalties and a loss of reputation. The legal system provides the rules and also regulates daily operations. The legal system provides a framework within which the businesses operate. It protects business rights by enforcing contracts and agreements. It also safeguards intellectual property like patents and trademarks, which is important for companies dealing with innovation. The legal system regulates business activities through labor laws, safety standards, and consumer protection laws. It also ensures fair competition and prevents illegal practices like fraud. For example, companies like Samsung and Apple often file legal cases to protect their patents. For an international firm, navigating these different legal systems is one of the most complex challenges they face. Now, let's shift our focus to the cultural environment. The cultural environment refers to the values, beliefs, customs, and behavior of people in a society. It plays a very important role in shaping consumer preferences and business practices. Culture differs from country to country, so businesses must understand these differences before entering a market. For example, food habits differ across countries. What people eat in India is very different from what people eat in Western countries. If companies ignore cultural differences, their products may fail in the market. So, understanding culture helps businesses adapt their products and strategies effectively. To analyze culture properly, let's take a look at several elements of culture. The first one is language. This is the most basic factor affecting marketing and negotiations. The second one is religion. This impacts what people consume and their general business practices. The third one is values and attitudes that shape decision making behavior. Then comes social structure that affects interaction in society. And the last but not the least, education impacts workforce quality and lifestyle helps understand consumer needs. For example, advertisements are designed differently in different countries based on cultural values. Look at this fascinating real life example of cultural adaptation because cows are considered sacred in Hindu culture. So, McDonald's in India made the decision not to serve beef. Serving beef would have hurt religious sentiments and destroyed the company's image. Instead, they modified their entire menu to include chicken and vegetarian items like the Mac Aloo Tikki burger. This proves that respecting local traditions is a fundamental requirement for success. Now let's understand culture through a well known model, that's Hofstede's cultural dimension. Hofstede's cultural dimensions is a framework developed by Geert Hofstede to understand cultural differences between countries. It explains how values and behavior vary across societies and how this affects business practices. For example, in countries like Japan, people prefer group discussions, while in countries like the USA, individuals prefer independent decisions. This model helps companies manage employees and design marketing strategies according to different cultures. Now, let's look at the dimensions one by one. The first dimension is power distance, which shows how people accept inequality in society. In countries with high power distance, employees follow strict hierarchy. The second is individualism versus collectivism. Individualistic societies focus on personal goals, while collectivist societies focus on group goals. The third is masculinity versus femininity, where masculine cultures focus on achievement and competition, while feminine cultures focus on care and relationships. The fourth is uncertainty avoidance, which refers to how people deal with risk. Some cultures prefer stability and rules, while others are comfortable with uncertainty. The last dimension is long term versus short term orientation. Some cultures focus on future planning, while others focus on present values and traditions. These dimensions help businesses understand cultural differences and avoid misunderstandings. Now, let's arrive at the economic environment. The economic environment refers to economic conditions like income levels, development, and resources. These factors affect purchasing power and demand for products. For example, in developed countries like the USA, people have higher income, so demand for luxury products is higher. In developing countries like India, companies often focus on affordable products. So, the economic environment helps businesses decide pricing and strategies. Now, lastly, let's look at the implications of economic environment. The economic environment affects market size and demand based on income levels. It influences pricing decisions as companies must consider affordability. It also affects investment decisions as businesses prefer stable economies. For example, many companies invest in India because it is a growing market. Economic conditions also affect cost of production through labor and resources. Understanding all these layers is what makes a business truly global. To wrap things up, we have walked through the many different layers of the international business environment together. We have looked at everything from the strict rules of politics and law to the more personal side of culture and finally the reality of economic conditions. Before I officially conclude, I want to emphasize that the world is not just a market, it is a classroom. Every difference we encounter in a foreign market is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and innovate. Mastering the IBE is what separates a local company from a truly global leader. Well, now that brings me to the end of my presentation. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to my professor, Mr. Sanjay Saroha sir, and my peers for your time and your attention today. It has been a pleasure sharing these insights with you. Thank you all and have a nice day.